My name is Beth Ratzlaff. I am the training administrator for the Superior Court Clerk's Office, also known as the Department of Judicial Administration. With me today, I have several guest panelists, and I am going to allow them to introduce themselves, starting with Yvonne.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ivan Sandoval, and I'm the Customer Service Division Director at King County Superior Court Clerk's Office. Thank you for being here today.
Turn down my volume too far.
And since you're talking, Susie, I'll let you go next.
I am Susie Harris, and I am the Customer Information Area Section Supervisor that oversees the DVPO office.
And Desiree?
Hello, my name is Desiree Rogers. I'm the training coordinator. I work with Beth in our training department, so I'm here to just support her manning the chat and things like that.
Great. And last but not least, Heather.
Good morning. My name is Heather Mawero, and I am an early resolution case manager at King County Superior Court. So I'm here just in case anything comes up question-wise regarding the protection order court that launches on the 17th in terms of questions not DJ related. Thanks.
Great. Thanks, Heather. So our panelists will be helping out today. If you do have questions, I would ask that you put those in the Q&A. We do have a chat function and a Q&A function, but when you put them in Q&A, it means that we can see them and we know that they all get answered. So I will pause and ask for questions throughout the presentation. It should be very short because our process is very simple. But we do want to make sure that you get your questions answered. You'll also notice that we are recording this session, which means that we will be posting it and making it available after our time today for anyone who wasn't able to make it or for future posterity. So if you want to relive our time together, you'll be able to do that. Yvonne, I'm going to let you kick it off with an introduction while I get my screen share going, and you can talk a little bit about what we're going to see today.
Perfect. Thank you. So again, thank you everyone for attending today's public webinar. And again, I'm Ivan Sandoval, the Customer Service Division Director at the Clerk's Office. This webinar is about the new e-submission protection order system by the Clerk's Office. Through this system, customers are able to submit petitions for protection orders, including the other required documents. The system is available for use 24/7. But the Clerk's Office will process the submissions during regular business hours. Law enforcement agencies submitting ERPOs, extreme risk protection orders, after hours should continue to use our current e-filing system. So these are not being processed to the cases script portal, but just as usual, it's through our e-filing system. Keep in mind that this webinar is not intended to provide legal advice. We are providing information on how to use this system and answering some procedural questions. So thank you for participating today.
Great. Thanks, Yvonne. Okay, so you all should see up on the screen our KC script portal. Can one of my panelists verify that that is showing for you? It should be. Yes. Okay, great. All right, so just a couple things. This is our KC script portal. This is what we'll be using as we walk through the submission process. If you are looking for instructions and videos, I'm going to have Desiree add that to the chat, the link to that, where we have instructions on how to do all of the steps that we're going over today. And again, there will be time for questions as we go along. But again, if you have those, please do put them in the Q&A. Before we get started, I just want to note a couple things about the portal. You will want to, if you're submitting or if you're helping someone submit these documents to our office, the first thing that you're going to need before you get started is all of the forms in order to submit. So make sure that you have those prepped and ready. The second thing is that you will need a login to the portal. So this process will require you to have a login, which is why where I'm at right here, I'm not logged in. So I will click on that button up here in the black menu bar. If you have an account, go ahead and enter your credentials. If not, it's very simple to create an account. You would click on the Create Account tab. fill in your information and submit, and you'll get further instructions on updating your password, but it's very simple to get an account. I already have one, so I'm going to go ahead and log in here. And you can see that my options and my screen changed just a little bit between not being logged in and being logged in. So 2 ways to get to the submission process. One is up here in the black menu bar where it says submit civil protection order. The second is right here on the portal homepage. You'll see this blue icon for submit civil protection order. And I'm going to go ahead and click on this icon since it's closest. I'm going to talk about this screen here in a second, but what I want to note is that as we go through this whole process, you will see on the screen a red quick exit button. So if at any time you or someone that you're assisting needs to quickly close the screen, all they would need to do is click that quick exit button. It takes you to the King County Parks webpage. Unfortunately, what it means is that any progress you've made on completing the form will be lost, but it does get you off of the page to safety if that's something that you need during the filing process. So step 1, as I mentioned, you want to make sure all of your forms are filled out. If you are not familiar with filling out forms yourself, or if somebody needs help as you're walking them through that, there is this Washington Law Help. It's not something that's affiliated with our office, so I'm not going to cover how to use that today. I will click on it just so you can see what the landing page looks like. But someone can start their protection order interview. It'll ask them questions and help them complete the form. So if that's something that you need, it is very helpful, and you can use that if you so choose. And then the second step is to submit your documents. So once you are ready to submit those, we're going to click on that blue button. I'm going to scroll down just a little bit more. We do have a link to our protection order website for additional resources and information. There is the how to use this e-submission system. Those are those directions that I was talking about. They'll be in this list. Go back over here. We also have links to the National Domestic Violence Hotline, as well as the frequently asked questions and other resources. If you or anyone that you're working with requires assistance in an additional language, we have also translated the information on this page into the additional languages that you see here at the bottom of the screen. You just click on the language and you'll see the same information that's listed there in a separate window. The actual application itself is not translated, but the help menus and the documents we've prepared do have the words and the steps in the language, and then you'll see the pictures of the English portal. So I'm going to go ahead and click proceed unless there were any questions that came up that I should answer before I dive into anything.
No, Beth, I think maybe you covered this. So all the way at the bottom of that page, they can select on the language they want to view this particular page. So basically it's telling the customer it's a resource to customers who speak other languages as well.
Yep. Okay, so we will go ahead and get started by clicking this click to proceed and submit your protection order button. So the first thing that we will require is for you to enter in the case designation or area. So you should have this on your paperwork. It's either Seattle or Kent. I'm going to choose Seattle for this example, and then you'll select your protection order type. So we have 4 types listed here. If I choose, for example, extreme risk protection order, you'll notice that filing type, it's just got petition filled in there. However, if you choose civil protection order, you will also then need to select the filing type. This first one I'm going to do as a DVP, domestic violence, and I'll do a second example that shows where there might be slight variations in our form. So we will select that and then continue on to the next step. Now to go to the next step, you can either click the next step button here at the top of the form, the bottom of the form, or you can just click on the next item in the list. So here we need petitioner. I am going to use sample. It's going to always be in all caps. Don't worry, you're not shouting at us. That just helps when it comes into our case management system. And we will say Beth test. Okay, so again, petitioner, if you have middle name or suffix, you can add those here as well. I will click on respondent. Again, sample John for this one. And then again, so I can click here for next step, here for next step, or click on documents. So reminder, once again, you'll need to have your documents before you get started on this. And just so you know, the acceptable file types, we accept PDF, we accept doc, Word files, doc or docx, TIFF, or TIFF, two TIFFs. Go ahead, Desiree. It looks like there's a question.
It looks like Yvonne just started typing an answer, but I just wanted to call out, someone asked if it's possible to submit 2 filing types. And Yvonne is working on the answer, but I believe not at once. Am I correct, Yvonne?
That's right. I mean, on the actual petition form, customers usually select what type of protection order they're asking. But then there's also a question that says, if you believe other protection order type also, relates to this submission, they can put it and write it on the actual petition form. But when submitting this, on the submission information tab, so if you go back to that one, Beth, basically all you're doing is just selecting the protection order type and then the filing type from here, but you can only select one at a time. But if other protection order types also relate to your submission, that can be written on the actual petition form.
Great, thanks, Yvonne. Any other questions I should answer right now, Desiree, or are we looking good? Okay, great. So we talked about acceptable file types, and what you will want to do now is upload those documents. So all you'll do, and you're going to get to see me do this a lot, we're going to click on choose file and then select the document on your computer. So wherever you have it saved, I've put it on my desktop for ease of this training, but you may have them buried a little bit deeper depending on where you've got them saved. So I'm just going to go through and upload all of these. You can see I've cleverly named them the same. And there we go. So once your document is uploaded, you'll see that 100% status bar, and know that those have been attached. Now here, I'll note there's a couple different options that you have. Those are the required documents, right? So whatever is required for your filing is going to be listed there on that screen. If you are requesting that weapons be surrendered as part of your petition, you would check this box here and then have the option to upload the order to surrender weapon. I will go ahead and do that. Additionally, if there are other documents that you would like to file with your petition, for other optional supporting documents, there's this tiny little, let me click off of it, little caret. If you click on that link that says optional supporting documents, it opens that menu option for you to attach either a declaration or other. And so if you choose declaration, again, the upload process is exactly the same as it is before. And you can do that for as many additional supporting documents as you are needing to. I do want to make a note here just with depending on what you are uploading, you should make sure that it has the proper cover sheet if a cover sheet is required. So for example, if there are explicit pictures, you would want to make sure that those have a cover sheet on them. And I can let Susie and or Yvonne talk a little bit more about that. But if you're doing that, this is the area of your submission that you would add those files. And Susie, Yvonne, I don't know if you have anything to add to that before we move on.
Susie, you want to talk about that a little bit?
You're a little bit muted, Susie, so
I said I had to turn my volume up because one of you is quiet, one of you comes through loud. So I missed part of that question of what you wanted me to elaborate more on.
if you can talk a little bit about cover sheets and other materials that somebody might be filing.
Okay, so we want to make sure that anything that you upload is GR14 compliant. So we do have a general GR14 cover sheet that you can use on the clerk's office website. And that's just for general attachments, pictures, texts. There's also sealed financial source documents. If for whatever reason you're going to include them for a DV, they are more slated for family law, but people do upload those. So we do have sealed financial source documents. And then we also have the sealed, there's one that has to do with medical, past, present, and future, like medication, doctor's appointments, whatever. So if you want to upload, like if you had to go to an ER visit or whatever due to being assaulted, that could be uploaded and placed under one of the sealed cover sheets that applies to what it is that you're uploading. So you just want to make sure if you don't want it meant for public and it is financial or medical, that you're using one of those sealed. Otherwise, it's just a generic GR14 cover page that has the caption, case number, and the margins that we want for documents that are being filed into the court file.
Beth, I just want to pause for a second. We've got 8 open questions in the Q&A, so I
Okay.
don't know if we just need some time or if Susie or Yvonne see any that would be better to just answer live.
Thank you, Desiree. So yeah, I think a lot of the questions are basically about submitting supporting documents. We want to make sure that customers do submit and complying with GR14. And if it's something that's covered by GR22, then you can include the cover sheet with your supporting documents as well. Some questions that are coming through are also, we submit a renewal, modification, termination through the system? No, it's not, the system, it's not accepting those right now, but they may be coming sometime this year. Another question is, during the trial period, we noticed that documents were uploaded as Word document boxes and information did not transfer over. That has been fixed. So customers can submit and upload Word, PDF, or TIFF documents for us to review. Can we also submit sealed documents as part of the petition under the other document section? Will they be filed under other or declaration? Can we also submit sealed documents? So if customers can submit their petition, and currently the process is, when customers want to submit supporting documents, they usually attach them to the back of the petition. You can still do that. Attach those supporting documents to the back of the petition or include them as a separate attachment. I think not an attachment, as other document. And if you include them as other document, it basically has its own sub in the case file.
And you want to make sure that if you have any documents that need to be sealed, are not attached to your petition and are in fact filed with one of those sealed cover pages, you can choose other from the drop-down menu. And when we accept that into the court file, we will update the document title so that it comes through as sealed, so it's not opened up to the public.
That's right. And then can I assume we don't need to also e-file? That's correct. You don't need to also e-file. You're basically submitting these documents to review for the clerk. The original temporary order and hearing notice form is labeled differently. I see it's PROR on this new system. What does that stand for? Susie, do you know the answer to that one?
Which question is that?
the original temporary order. And
For
here-
me, it's at the top of the list from anonymous attendee.
An original temporary PO notice hearing is labeled differently. I'm not sure. We just petitioned for
Oh,
order, OR's
It's a
order.
proposed order, so it means it's a proposed order because it's technically the proposed order the customers are submitting through the e-submission system. It's not being uploaded into the case file until the court signs an order. So proposed orders are not being filed into the case. So that's what it means. PROR, it's the proposed order. It's not the actual order filed by the court. And the documents have to be labeled a certain way to be accepted. You just want to make sure that in where it says petition, the petition form, it's uploaded there. The kicks, it's uploaded where it belongs in order for us to accept the full filing. When I filed a DBP this morning, there wasn't an option for the sealed health records. Only the other which said that the public will be able to access. Are you saying that choosing the other option will have kept the document?
And I kind of touched on that. So if you upload it under other, when it comes through and it's a sealed cover sheet, staff should be changing the document code to the sealed financial source document or the sealed medical, so that when it is filed so the public doesn't have
It's a
access.
sealed document. That's right, based on the cover sheet. Are cover sheets for exhibits and sealed docs. So the cover sheet should be able, so I think we provided a link somewhere under the optional supporting documents. If customers click there, it's gonna give them the GR14 cover sheet. We may be able to implement a new link that will take them to other documents where they can find any other cover sheets in case they need them. So that's a great suggestion, and I appreciate that. And then cover sheet for exhibits. I'm not sure what this is about. Is that the GR14 cover sheet? I think it's this one. So it is, so the link it's already provided through the system.
Are there other questions we want to answer now, or do you want me to submit and talk a little bit about the messaging and what you'll see once you've submitted? Are we ready? If your question hasn't been answered, I promise we'll get to it.
That's right.
But I'm going to pause. We'll pause questions here for a moment. And I've uploaded all of my documents. Actually, I'm going to not file a supporting document at the moment. So all of my documents have been uploaded, and now we'll scroll down to the bottom and there is a blue submit for review button. So we will click on that and you can see it is thinking. And what will happen now is you will be moved to your recent messages. And so this is where you'll see messaging about your submission or submissions that you have put through. So essentially what this is telling you is that we've got your submission. The clerk's office will be reviewing your submissions in the order in which they were received. And once we have processed your submission, either accepted or rejected it, you will get notification through the portal messaging that you're seeing right here on my screen. You'll also get an email notification about the fact that it's been accepted, and then the fact that it's been submitted, and then whether it's been accepted or rejected. So here is that information. I'm going to scroll down a little bit because I have put through a couple before, and then I want to go back and show you in the case if you're filing a vulnerable adult, that there is one small difference with the form that changes things. So here we have, you can see previous messaging that I've gotten. right here, this is saying, thank you for your submission. We have initiated your protection order case. So in this instance, the submission was accepted and a case was opened. So it gives me my case number and then tells me when my hearing is. So this date, no later than this time, and then how to attend the virtual hearing with the court. It'll have the Zoom information on how to get connected. Once again, this is going not only to your portal account, but also to the email on file when you created that portal account. So that will get you connected if your submission is accepted. If your submission is rejected, we're not just going to leave you, twisting in the wind. What we will do is make sure that you know why it would not have been accepted. So you'll see this message, pardon me. Thank you for your civil protection order submission. We've reviewed it, unable to accept it. Please click here. And so you're going to want to click on that link right there that says here, and that will take you to the page in the portal where you can view your submission, and it will show you why your document was rejected with reason codes that the clerk selected. So for example, here there were two documents that were rejected in this sample that I put through, and you can see that there is additional information. This first document needed a signature, and the second document down here needed a signature, and the proposed order was incomplete. So some of our reason codes are stock, meaning they're standard and staff are just selecting them, but you might also get more custom information in there. Staff have the option of typing in text if there was some kind of particular instance as to why it was rejected. You can also view from this portion, if you click this view document icon, you can actually open the petition or open the document and check it out. I'm sure it will come up as a question. If you have a document that was rejected or your submission was rejected because the document was missing a signature, can I just re-upload that one document? No, you'll need to do your submission over, attach all of your documents, including the updated one, and go from there. And then if there are further questions on that, we can elaborate more. But so that's what you'll see if your document was rejected, and very helpful. Not just rejected, we'll tell you why.
And then Beth, so
Yes.
and I'm not 100% sure if you went over this. So basically customers, if their submission was rejected because of the reasons we identified, customers who also speak a different language will be able to view the reasons why it was rejected right there where it says, I want to view the reason in Spanish or other languages. But also there was a question related to the how long will the wait time be for petitioners after submission? So I'm not sure if you can show the initial message that you received, and
Yes.
the initial message. So after the customer submits their protection order documentation, they'll receive this email, and then it says, if you submitted your protection order documents during regular business hours and before 2:15, the clerk's office will review your submission and notify you within the same day. So if you submitted your petition order documents after 2:15 p.m. on a business day, your submission may be reviewed on the same day or the next business day. And if you submitted your protection order documents outside regular business hours, our office will review your submission on the next business day. That's that's the time frame, and I think that will give you an understanding on that. And then there was also a question that says, could you repeat what we should do during office hours or after? I'm not sure about that one, or does anyone remember?
As far as I'm not sure if the question is, if if the petition was accepted, again, you'll get your message that says, here is when your hearing is, and here's how to attend. And then if, as Yvonne was just going over, just the cutoff times for review and the days. So we can restate those if we need to. I don't know if we can get additional clarification, but if your filing is accepted, and you will get messaging to that effect with the date and information on how to join that virtual hearing.
Yeah, and I was just gonna add, you can submit at any time because it's online and it can happen at any time during or outside of business hours. But depending on when you submit and whether or not it's a business day, the response and the scheduling of your hearing will either be the same day or the next business day. Hopefully that got it.
Yeah. Other questions? I don't see others in the Q&A. So what I'm going to do is actually go back through, do it one more time, show you that vulnerable adult piece that was just a little bit different, and then answer any additional questions you may have. So once again, yeah, go ahead, Yvonne.
Before you move forward, I think it's worth describing the difference between the e-submission system versus e-filing.
Mhm.
E-filing, customers usually create a case and then file documents into an existing or newly created case. The e-submission system, it's not that way. Basically, customers here are using this system to submit protection order petition and other documents to the clerk. We review it. If we accept the filing, all the documents are, or mostly all of the documents are filed into the newly created case type 2 case. So I see customers asking, I see people from the public webinar asking, is there an option that this document is uploaded with a GR14? I don't see the GR14 cover sheet included there. That's because when we review and when we receive your supporting documents, and if we see that the supporting documents have a GR22 cover sheet, then we'll go ahead and seal it before creating the actual case type 2 case. I think there's a difference, and I think it's worth people understanding that difference. Thank you.
Great. Okay, so let's go ahead again and walk through it one more time. Again, I can click Submit Civil Protection Order in the top menu, or if you're on the home page, click Submit Civil Protection Order, that icon. I'm going to go ahead and do the menu this time. Again, I need my forms. I need to be logged in, but I will click this big blue button to proceed and submit my protection order. Select first my case designation, and then I will select my protection order type. In this instance, I'm using a civil protection order. And I'm going to choose vulnerable adult just so I can show you that one time it's a little bit different. So again, next step, I can click either of those buttons or just click on the next step in the list. So here it's asking for the last name of the person who is asking for protection. I'm going to put my name in here. If you are filing on behalf of a vulnerable adult, and again, this is the only time this process is a little bit different, you would click that checkbox and then enter that person's name. Lois, and then move on to the next step. John. Once again, next step, this way or that way, either one. And then I'll go ahead and upload my files again. You can see that this screen is asking me for different documents because it's a different filing type, right? So I am uploading whatever is required at this point. The other required, those are all similar to what I saw before, but it's asking me for the notice to vulnerable adult this time, which it didn't before. And one more. Again, I can select this checkbox if I want to request that weapons are surrendered. I'm going to skip that on this step. I'm also going to skip adding optional supporting documents, but I could do that here using that dropdown. So once I've uploaded everything, which I have, I will once again submit for review. And then once my filing has been submitted, I will get my portal submission received message. It's going to drop me right on that page. When you are in the portal, if you have new messages, you'll see a little red envelope here. Since it dropped me right on that page, it basically marked that message as read immediately. But if you are in the portal waiting for a response on your submission, you'll see a notification pop up, a little red envelope right there by the My Messages once you have a new message from our office. And it looks like there's a couple more Q&A questions for us to take a look at. Who would like to answer those?
I think we've been answering them as they.
Okay.
Two open ones that are about filing on behalf of a minor. I think we could probably get those two at the same time.
So on in the paperwork itself, it asks who's filing and if the person is filing on behalf of someone else, regardless if that person is a minor or an adult. So it is within the paperwork who should be the protected, who should be the restrained, and who's filing.
Any other questions?
Is Legal Adams?
Legal Adams, it's an independent vendor from outside King County Clerk's office. I'm not 100% sure if the King County Advocacy Group still contracts with them or not. And I don't see that consolidating with us in our system.
And with Legal Adams, I'm not sure what you mean by consolidated, but there is an option for someone to download the documents as a full one single file or to download the items separately. We will in the clerk's office, I think next week, have the ability for individuals to sit in our office and go through the interview process, which is through Legal Adams.
No,
and
it's not Legal Adams. So we are not using Legal Adams. We are referring customers to use Washington Law Help.
Washington Law Help, sorry.
Washington Law Help.
But we do have, we will have computers set up in both the Kent and Seattle locations for the public to come in if they don't want to handwrite, to be able to type in. Somebody asked a question about fillable forms that'll take them through the interview process. And if they do it in office, once they complete it, it actually saves it to an internal folder in the protection order office for us to download and review and print, upload, whatever we need to do. So if they're doing it in office, there isn't any, they don't have to print or anything like that. We'll take care of all that.
Yeah. So, and then another question, is there a day when we will allow renewals of DBPOs electronically? There's no date, but sometime this year, that's what we're hoping. I can't promise anything, but that's something we're working on.
Yeah, Ivan, you're kind of quiet. Somebody wants you to speak a little louder.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So is it possible again to file petitions for renewal DBPOs electronically? I said there's no date as of now, but it's something we will be working on sometime this year.
Okay. I don't see any questions. If you have them, now is the time to go ahead and submit those questions. I'm happy to show on the screen anything that we might need to take another look at. And it looks like we did get another question come in. Is this process followed by the advocates as well? That's the submission process, I'm assuming. Yvonne, Susie?
Yes. So all customers they have the option to submit protection order documents, the petition documents through this system, this e-system, or in person.
And then we have a question. Are there computers available for the petitioner or respondent to use for connecting to the Zoom hearing for the final order if the case is transferred to Kent or Seattle?
The clerk's office does not provide computers to customers to join their Zoom hearing, their final hearing with the court.
It's also my understanding if somebody does appear at the clerk's office in person because they can't connect, we generally refer them down to family law and let family law, if it's a family law return hearing, but we let them figure out how they're going to appear, if they can go into the courtroom or what they're going to do.
That's right.
And it looks like we've got a question. Is Legal Atoms not recommended? Why does the site link to the Washington Law Help website, but not Legal Atoms?
So Legal Atoms, again, it's a third-party vendor. I do believe they contract with other community agencies in the state of Washington and maybe other states as well. The clerk's office and actually the AOC has worked with Washington Law Help to create many of the forms. So we have worked very in collaboration with them. So customers can go anywhere. We're not necessarily saying they should be using one service or one tool over the other. They can use any. We've just been working with Washington Law Help and the AOC as well. So that's why we're referring most of our customers to Washington Law Help.
Okay. Does e-submission replace the online civil protection order clerk portal where we could talk to a clerk face to face? That is a great question. So I will let Yvonne or Susie answer this one.
Yeah, so we're going to be shutting down the virtual protection order office with this new system. However, if there is somebody that wants to speak to somebody, we're having something put in place to where we can set up appointments to speak with somebody virtually through the way we do it now. That's closing, but for the most part, unless you have an appointment, it's not available.
Okay. Let's see. How secure are accounts? Is there two-factor authentication? And I'm assuming that by accounts, you're talking about portal accounts. I know there's not two-factor authentication on our Casey Script portal. And I don't know if Yvonne has more talking points about security of accounts, but I can confirm there is not two-factor authentication.
Yeah, there's no two-factor authentication. However, our King County tech team, it's very well, I guess, what's the word? They are very well invested in security and all the accounts in all the systems that we currently use. So I can assure you that it is a secure system, but we do not yet have a what's it called? Authentication system. Yeah.
Okay, if the address of the petitioner is confidential, we have to determine the area, Seattle or Kent, as the OP address. I'm assuming that's about, so if the petitioner's address is confidential, are you asking how to determine whether it's Seattle or Kent? I'm not sure there. If it is,
yes.
That's a yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So how do we determine whether it's Kent or Seattle? Susie?
Historically, we use I-90 as the cutoff point, but if their address is confidential, if they choose Seattle or Kent, we're just gonna assign the case number as they requested it. It's just like if it's a confidential address for Wausau entry, we send it to King County Sheriff because we're not going to say, oh, they live in Seattle, so we're sending it to Seattle. We don't want to give anybody that kind of information. So again, if the address is confidential, you're picking whatever is more convenient for yourself, whether that's Kent or Seattle, and the Wausau entry will be King County to be more generic. So we're not specifying any type of city.
Yeah, and I'm seeing one more question in the chat about if someone can read the forms in languages other than English. It looks like Yvonne answered that one. Is there a plan to change how renewals are done? Forcing petitioners to go to court or pay an attorney to is certainly going to negatively impact folks.
I think I've said this several times to the webinar, but right now the virtual protection office will no longer be an available service after this coming Friday. So motions for renewals, terminations, modifications will have to be similar to pre-pandemic, in person only. And then until we find another way on how those can be electronically submitted to the clerk's office.
What designation for petitioners who live in Snohomish or Pierce County?
Again, it's what's convenient for the party, because you can file in any county if you had to leave your place of residence due to domestic violence. So if you live in Snohomish County, I'm going to assume you're going to pick Seattle. If you live in Pierce County, I'm assuming that you're going to pick Kent. So, I mean, jurisdictional questions are asked within the petition, why you're filing, did you have to leave, and all that. So it would be up to a commissioner if they don't want to have you file it in our county to tell you to file it somewhere else. Don't think that's going to happen. So there again, you're going to pick your best guess when you're filling out the paperwork of what Kent or Seattle designation you're going to choose. The only thing that changes is KNT SEA. All your hearings are still virtual. You could have a Seattle case heard in Kent, a Kent case heard in Seattle due to staffing issues if they have a commissioner that calls out for whatever reason. So it's just what is more convenient for the party that's filing.
There's another question that says, how the service of this electronic protection order works. The clerk's office cannot speak to that specifically about the service and the process for that. But I do believe the new statute of protection orders talks about the electronic processes and the requirements and what law enforcement needs to do on that specifically. Susie, I think it might be helpful if you can explain how when customers submit a termination, a modification, or a renewal, how that works in the process. How did they submit it to the clerk's office, and then what happens from that?
So basically, we're going back to the pre-pandemic way of submissions. Like there will be more rollouts to our system and what we can handle at this point. Only initiating protection orders is available through this PPS submission process. So a party would need to come into the Kent or Seattle location with the documents that they're wanting to file. If they don't have them, we will provide them. We do have the motions and orders for terminations, for renewals, the terminations, modifications. We have the packet for the respondent and or the petitioner, because there is separate paperwork depending on who's requesting that. But you come in, you file, we send you to court. You can either appear, depending if it's after the cutoff, you can appear via Zoom. You don't have to go into the courtroom in person. And then we're providing you copies of your pleadings, either handing them to you in person. If you appear via Zoom, then you're going to get a copy via email through our system. We have the ability directly from our system to send it for service for WASC and copies to the petitioner and or moving party if it's the respondent on a modification request.
And then there's another question that says, what is the turnaround time for an initial hearing to grant a temporary order? So if the customer submits the protection order documents before the cutoff time on a business day, so before 2:15 p.m., and we accept the filing, the customer will be going to court the same day before 3 p.m. So that's the turnaround time. So it can be a quick thing. Are all civil protection order hearings defaulted to virtual now? No, they're not. Once the clerk's office accepts the petition and other documents through the e-submission system, we will send the customer a message through their portal account and through their email that says, we accepted your submission. Here's your King County Superior Court case number. You must go to court on this specific day before 3 p.m. And then it gives them options. If you want to appear, if you want to join the hearing with the court by phone, by virtual, or in person. So they will have all of those options available.
Yvonne, it looks like we have a question. As an advocate, there are times when advocates submit multiple protection orders. Is there a way to keep track of different cases and submissions on those cases? If you are the one that is submitting the documents, I can show you. Let me go ahead and share my screen again. So from your KC Script portal screen, if you look on my account and you go to my submissions, this will probably show up as blank. Let me go ahead and clear it just so it looks how it will look. You don't need to put in a submission number or dates. You can if you want to. You can just click the search button. And then what it will do is show you the submission titles and then the submission numbers. And from here, you can click into any of those and see what the status is. But that's only if you are the one that submitted it.
On the anonymous attendee that asks about the note for hearing and just e-filing, you have that option, but you're also going to run into, if that calendar is full that day where you're not going to be on the calendar, and then you're going to miss your renewal date. So I would not recommend filing your documents with a notice of court date. They are heard in family law. Most, I was going to say 85% of them have moved to being heard in family law. So when you fill out a note for motion or a notice of hearing, you have to go online and see what's available. Whereas if you go through our office, we pick the date, it's going to go on that date according to the order that's going to be presented to note it on the calendar. So e-filing and doing the notice of court date, I would foresee issues if you try and do it that way.
And it looks, we had a question, is there a practice or test option for people to go through the steps without flooding the court clerks? Not publicly available, sadly, but that would be handy. It's, you know, it is a very simple process. Hopefully you saw as we went along. And I know our clerk's office staff would be happy to help walk you through it if there's any questions after or during the process. Let's see. Can you please clarify what your plan is in cases where a non-English person shows up in person seeking help either to file or renew an order for protection?
We have interpreters, the ability to connect with the language line. So we will never send anyone away because of a language barrier.
And then we've got 2 left, it looks like.
Can an attorney open the portal if they filed an NOA?
No, that's a notice of appearance, and an attorney can only get into your portal if you give him your login information. An attorney does not have carte blanche to get into anybody's account. Can they ask for copies of stuff that has been filed and they file a notice of appearance? Yes, but the general public can also get copies if they've been filed into a court file, as long as they're not sealed. So civil cases are not sealed per se, but you do or can have sealed documents within that court file that if you don't have a notice of appearance or you're not a party to the case, you wouldn't have access to. Are you saying that we cannot note a motion for renewal online? I'm not saying that you can't. I'm saying that I can foresee issues if you file for a particular court date using the notice of court date. And if the calendar's full, you're not going to get that court date because that's not the general practice for protection orders.
And then the last one, if we have an agreed order to modify, terminate, or renew, can we submit to orders for review?
I would say that's a family law question. You can do agreed orders, but I'm not sure that they would do protection orders agreed that way. So I'm not sure if our family law person's still available.
Sorry, I'm here. And that is a good question. I don't know that I know the answer. So I'll find out. I mean, this is sort of filling in today. So I'm going to jot that down. And if the person who asked that question could provide some contact information, I can get an answer for you. I just don't know. I don't have an answer off the top of my head. I don't want to say the wrong thing or say the inaccurate thing. I think I may know the answer, but that would be helpful if I could get some contact. I don't know how that works in this webinar setup, but that would be really helpful if I could just get contact information. And I've got the question written down, so I'll find an answer and get back to you with it.
Okay. Last chance for questions. Oh, it looks like Joanna says family law court staff prefer agreed PO orders to be presented to staff.
Thanks, Joanna. I didn't know you were here. Appreciate it. So that might answer that question that Ms. Caldwell asked.
Great. Any last questions?
And Kathy's asking for a repeat.
Repeat that. So
what I think Joanna was saying is that they prefer agreed orders like that to go to family law staff. In the Q&A, she put the email addresses for family law staff at the MRJC in Seattle to get to those. So if you have agreed orders to modify, terminate, renew, send them to those 2 email addresses.
and then to answer the question, so renewals go through this portal. The answer is no, they do not. What we just showed today is submissions for new protection orders. And I think Desiree is probably working on getting those email addresses into the chat so that everyone can have access to those to answer Lauren's question there.
So, and then one more question for non-law enforcement initiating our post. For example, a petitioner who files on their own behalf. So if they're filing an ERPO, if they're initiating an ERPO, they can do it through the system. So that's something they can do that. Renewals do not go through the through this system. This is only for initiating protection order cases.
Okay, and then can you mention again how to seek help when questions do come up? Yes, that would be our wonderful clerk's office staff. Which number is that? Should I put in there? Is that our 9300?
Well, for general information, it's 9,300. If it's a protection order based, then it would be either the Kent or Seattle protection order staff. And I believe that phone numbers show up in the portal when you, isn't it on the emails, the portal submission emails, don't they have our phone numbers listed, Yvonne?
I think they do.
Yeah, and then there's our protection order website as well.
And they're, I mean, I can pull them up and list them if you want to put them in the chat.
Yeah, let's put them in the chat just so we have them handy. I think that would be a good idea.
And Beth, just FYI, I've just realized I don't have the ability to chat everyone. I can only chat hosts and panelists, so apologies. I'm not very helpful in that way.
And then can you mention again how to seek help when questions do come up? So again, the DVPO email box, maybe that's also a new, a good contact information. And then is the virtual protection order office open? So the virtual PO protection order office, it's open this week only from 9 a.m. to noon. You cannot submit any documents through the virtual PO office this week. It's only like a help desk. How do I use your e-submission system and answer basic procedural questions? After this Friday, the virtual office will no longer be an available service.
Did the ERPO question get answered or live? Okay.
Mhm.
And then could an advocate submit a renewal in person without the petitioner?
Yeah, just as long, but if there's any updates or corrections that need to be made, it would have to be taken back to the petitioner.
Okay.
How do I file a protection order this week if the virtual office is closed?
You
Through
use
this
the system. Yeah. So let me, I'm going to go to our Superior Court Clerk webpage and show you how to get to everything we've been looking at today. So from our webpage, if you click here, I think for civil protection orders, then there's a link right there to the KC Script portal, and that takes you to the live KC Script portal, which is what we were walking through today. So that's how to get there. You'll want to make sure you log in, and then you'll be able to submit your protection order information. Okay. And then what would be the best way to get a renewal motion filed if the protected party is not in Washington State?
Well, they should register their current protection order in the state that they live in and do the renewal in that state.
Okay, and then we have another question. If an adult is filing on behalf of their minor child, for example, can they put the last name as OBOA.B and keep the minor's name and initials in the caption for the child's privacy? The full name would be in the petition, just asking about the caption.
The petitioner's name would be listed. The use of initials or anything, I can't think of what the RCW is, but generally if you're using just initials and there's not a petitioner's name, you have to have a court order. If you're using a petitioner's name, OBO, and have initials after that, the clerk's office is going to pick up the petitioner's name and then do et anno or et al, depending. And so we're not going to kick a petition out if it has a full name followed by OBO and initials.
Okay, and then To answer Mindy's question, will this training video be somewhere I can defer my coworkers? Yes. So what we'll do following this session is we will send a link to all of you. Feel free to share it with your coworkers. We'll also put it on our resources page for the clerk's office so anyone can access it. Okay. And I think we are out of questions. If you do have any questions in the meantime, feel free to reach out. It looks like Desiree has dropped the protection order information. Let me get that out there to everyone. So if you have questions, these are the phone numbers specifically for questions about protection orders for the clerk's office. But you can always feel free to reach out to me, to Yvonne, to Susie. And if we are not the best people to answer that question, we will get you to the right spot. So, yeah, let's see.
So answering that anonymous, they can file here. I'm just saying that people register out-of-state protection orders with us so that they are enforceable in Washington state. And I assume it's the same thing for out of state. And again, that's an assumption. But if somebody wants to renew here and they have an existing case here, obviously they're going to have to reach out to us via phone, and we would have to work something out for obtaining their documents for submitting for renewal or whatever the object is. So it's not that somebody can't. We will just have to be creative in finding a solution to get their documents to us without the virtual protection order office or the ability at this time to for submitting it via the portal.
All right. Well, thank you again, everyone, today. It was wonderful having you all in attendance. Do be on the lookout. We will send the link to the training video. Other than that, I hope you all have a fantastic day. Happy New Year. We're only 4 days in. And please feel free to reach out to the clerk's office if you have any questions.